students. So we'll be talking about the when. So what have we finished already? We're done with the why. We're done with the who. So now we're talking about the when. Are we done with the what? Okay. Will you kindly identify what we discuss in what? That's your EP. Okay, now, since that is when, then we're talking about time. And we only have three kinds of time: past, present, and future. And in accounting, we focuses on if it is. No? In uh, financial accounting and reporting, of course, we are now at the present and we are looking at what we have provided as an output. What does this indicate? No? Is it about the past or the future? Okay? So we just have to think of in financial accounting and reporting, it's all about the past. Okay? So, hey ma'am, why have you identified the future? So let's see why I include the future when in fact we are now in the present. Let's again relate it to the accounting functions of recording, of classifying, summarizing, and interpreting, of which what we do in recording is journalizing, and what we do in classifying is posting, and in summarizing, preparation of the financial statements, and in interpreting, we prepare financial statement analysis, of which in financial statement, we need to pass. We have to show profitability, that your activities are liquid, and solvency. Okay? And in your interpreting, we have Psalm, wherein Psalm is also profitability, S is solvency, A is activity, an indicator of efficiency, liquidity, and marketability, wherein your PSL is effectiveness, your activity is efficiency. When you add effectiveness and efficiency, that is the achievement of your internal goal of being what? A well organized film, well in its operation. Now, are you at par with regards to your competitor? That's when you're looking at marketability, because we're looking at whether or not, well, you are competitive. Diba? Kailangan kasi para you survive, you are solvent. You have to be very competitive. No one is an island. You need to partner with, and you have to be productive, and you have to, ano ba yun, yung produce in a liquid manner, and of course, be a performer, di ba? O sabi nga natin 3M, ma-perform, mapera, malakas. O yan. So, let's go to the time. No, I just remind you of what are the items related here. And the time would be, if you journalize, it is related to your past. And if you post, it's related again to your past. And if you prepare FS, it relates to the past. Ma'am, why? Because you record transaction in actual cost. And actual cost is what had happened. It has to happen. Bakit? May mangyayari ba sa inyo kung wala kayong ginawa? Diba sa relasyon, kailangan may gawin muna kayo. Diba? Para na sa ganon, yung 1 plus 1 is equal to 3. Pag wala kayong ginawa, o di walang output, walang FS, o yun. So you record it in actual cost. We also call it historical cost. And tatawagin mo ba yung history kung hindi related sa past? And then, syempre, laging iba yung kulay nitong interpreting class kasi it relates to the future. You're going to make interpretation on the result of the psalm that we talk about. Okay? Now, what's the principle applied in going concern? Rather, in financial accounting and reporting when it comes to time. In how do you know that we are going to record based on the past and what we have is going to have an effect to my future being uh, talking about today. Kasi our perspective is now. No? It is one going concern. Alam mo yung sa relasyon na mayroong tinatawag na forever, na kung pwede lang kayo na till the end of time, if there is such a thing as end of time. And I would like you to focus on this symbol. No? And compare it with this symbol. Kasi this will be your experience point. May ako na tanungin. Discuss ko muna yung going concern tsaka periodicity. So, ano yung going concern? May forever sa accounting. We are assuming unlimited life of the business. Ano yung periodicity? You apply their divide and conquer. Wherein, we do dividing and conquering because we would like to know, have we made progress based on our goals set? Siyempre, lahat naman tayo may mga pangarap. Going back to the symbol, I would like you to make a description of this symbol. This is math. So at least, ma-apply nyo sa math itong diba? Yung inyong time, yung going concern, tsaka periodicity. Now, which financial statement? Tingnan nyo which naman ngayon yung sinasabi ko, W pa din yan. Which of the financial statement or what financial statement, okay, would be somehow, we would be able to know if we are a going concern? Well, if you are a going concern, you have to take a look at the output of financial accounting and reporting up to summarizing phase. Okay? And if it is up to summarizing phase, that would be the statement of financial position would show you the going concern, and the statement of operation will show you the application of periodicity. And of course, your statement of financial position will show short-term and long-term. And your statement of operation is short-term. But let me ask you, in accounting, when short is short and when long is long, how do you define short and long? Sige, mag-isip kayo Tingnan natin kung tatama kayo sa inisip nyo. Kailan ang maigsi ay maigsi at ang mahaba ay mahaba. Remember, it's a matter of perspective. Ang mahaba sa'yo, pwede maigsi sa akin pag nakikipagrelasyon. Okay, so let's take a look at the next one. So, aside from talking about past and future and present, how are we going to relate it? Because past, present, future is from the layman's point of view. Now, how are we going to call it, dearest student? No? In with us as accounting people, we call it, our time will be either it is an interim period or just the basic period. And what do we mean by basic period and interim period? So let's take a look. That is your so-called fiscal year basis. Okay? Wherein your fiscal year basis will be 1 to 12 months. Diba? Yun, ang ano niyan. Rather 12 months, sorry. No? Hindi 1 to 12 months. 12 months. Pag sinabing fiscal year. Kasi ayan, year. Pag year, 12 months. And when you say calendar year basis, that would be January to December. Di ba yung calendar mo, nag-umpisa ng January, matatapos December. And of course, when you say fiscal year, it will start other than January and it will end other than December. Okay? Okay, that would be your basic period, fiscal year basis. How about interim? You can have it monthly, quarterly, semi-annual. So, These are progress report normally, diba? When you use interim. Okay. Now, I've asked you when long is long and when short is short. Class, monthly is shorter than quarterly, as well as with semi-annual. Kasi to meron kayong pinaka-benchmark, which will be monthly. Diba? At yung monthly, pwedeng i-compare mo na lang dun sa daily or weekly. Diba? O, ganon. Ma'am, pwede rin ba yung interim period? Yeah, yung weekly. Diba? Now, kailan nga maigsi at mahaba sa atin? Well, since we talk about going concern yung unlimited life, at periodicity ay knowing progress. No, it is now. No, for us to know now what's our status. Okay, then for you to know when short is short and when long is long, you have to compare your NOC with 1 year, with your with your fiscal year basis, your basic period, which is 1 year. Kasi, ano sabi natin sa normal operating cycle? The time that your inventory, di ba, will be converted to cash. Or sometimes, kasi nagiging receivable pa siya, magiging cash. Okay? If, let's say, case 1, normal operating cycle, and then yung ating 1 year ko compare natin. Halimbawa, ang normal operating cycle ng, kita niya, nagbebenta ka ng sa malamig. Gaano katagal bago maubos yun? At magkapera ka? Aba, 1 day lang yan. O, 1 day versus 1 year, ano mas mahaba? Ay, ano ma'am? Ulitin mo? Ulitin mo po, ma'am? Ito, dadagdag na natin. Whichever is longer. Ma'am, paano po? Paano po? Ang short sa atin ay ano? Normal operating cycle compared with 1 year, whichever is longer is what would define short or what is current. Okay? Hi, ma'am, ang mga accounting, mahilig sa mahaba. Yes. Ang mahaba sa atin ay maigsi. Ma'am, ang gulo naman. Well, that's why we need to use our critical thinking skills. But simple lang yun, no? Ito na ina-apply na natin, oh. Tagbebenta ka ng sa malamig. Ala namang nangungutang nun. O di sa isang araw, may pera ka na. Compare mo yan sa 1 year. Ano, mas mahaba? 1 year. So, yung 1 year ang magde-define ng what is current. Yan yung inyong short period, short term. Okay? O, ang negosyo mo, katulad nun sa Jollibee class. Siyempre, hindi yan 1 day. Kailangan maubos mo na yung inventory nila. Okay? O kaya naman, halimbawa, yung mga nagre-repair ng sapatos, pinapautang nila. Yung sa kanila 1 month, bago ka makabayad. O di 1 month versus 1 year, 1 year pa din. Pero yung ano nyo, halimbawa, yung mga nagpapautang yung babayaran mo after a year or within a year. 1 year versus 1 year, 1 year pa din yun. Pero kung halimbawa, it will take you more than a year para magkaroon ka ng cash. Ma'am, ano to? Ano yun? Ano yung matagal? Ay, pag ang pinag-usapan nyo yung mga wasting assets. Hoy, ma'am, ano yung wasting assets? The one that relates to your natural resources. Natural resources. Tsaka yung mga biological asset nyo. Okay? Well, at least sa biological asset, meron yung pagmanok, ang ano mo, ang produkto mo. Nagpapalaki ka ng manok, no? Nagko-contract growing ka. Ano lang yun? 45 days. Ganon. Pag baboy, at least hindi ka naman makaraan ng 4 na buwan. Pero pag ikang binibenta mo, di sandali lang din. Pero gaano katagal ba bago manganak yung baboy? Kaya lang, paano kung ang iyong produkto ay puno? Palalakihin mo yung puno, i-convert mo sa lumber. O sige, gaano katagal yan, class? That is more than a year. Madalang naman, maybe, ewan ko, tingnan natin yung paper 3, gaano katagal bago. Kasi yun, madali talaga yun na, maibenta. Yung mga paper 3. Diba? Eh, so, ano ibig sabihin yan? Kasi, ang normal operating cycle mo, inventory, tas magiging pera. Mahigit sa taon bago maging pera yung puno. O, paano pag wine? Sige nga, ine-age ang wine. Hindi ba kaya, ewan ko, di ba noon, may balita noon na milyon, no, yung halaga ng wine na binili. Kasi it had been aged for 100 years. Oh my God, you're going to wait for 100 years for it to be inventory. Ay, intayin mo pa ba yung 100 years para mai-report mo yung progreso mo? No. Kaya yung kaya meron tayong periodicity, gano'n. Kaya kino-compare mo. Bili mo sa wine, sabihin mo na lang yung ibang wine ini-age ng 5 years, di ba? Or 10 years. Hindi nyo nakikita, iba nakalagay doon, age, 10. That's how long you're going to wait nga kasi bago ito maging inventory. Kaya ganun. Na you choose between normal operating cycle and 1 year, whichever is longer. 5 years is longer than a year. So what is current is 5 years. 10 years will be current. Mami, 100 years current? Yeah, but very seldom naman yung ganong produkto class. Oh my God. Diba, mga collector's item yan. But definitely, pag ang mga produkto mo ay biological asset, this is when you have to look into the normal operating cycle because it would take a while for you to have the inventory, no? And wasting assets is always related to your natural resources. Paano lang yung pag ang produkto mo, gas, oil, diba? Pero although nadideplete na yung natin, diba? Yung mga reserve ng natural resource na yan. Kaya we are now in the, bumabalik tayo sa paggamit ng hangin, ng tubig, at saka ng araw para magkaroon ng electricity. So, again, I'll ask you, repeat after me, after my question. Diba? Kasi I'll be answering also. When short is short class in accounting, what are you going to use as a basis? Normal operating cycle and 1 year. Okay? You have to compare it as always. And whichever is longer. Between normal operating cycle and 1 year. Hoy ma'am, sa klase sasabihin mo ba yan? Kung short siya, tsaka current siya or non-current? No, you have to make an assumption. Ma'am, ano i-assume namin? Of course, in the absence of any statement, it will be this one. That's your normal, that's your short term. That's your current 1 year. Unless there's a case that you have to look into the type of product that they have. So if the product that they have is a lumber, so of course, what would be short there will be longer than a year. Okay? If the product is a wine, what would be short there, or what would be current there will be longer than a year. So how do we define, do you believe now that we define short in accounting as longer? Yes, we do. So now, we're almost done. And where, and when we talk about where, it's about standards. The Philippine standards and the international standards. And this is what we're going to talk about in CFAS. Because when we are in financial accounting reporting, reporting rather, you also discuss the standards, but hindi nyo pansin. No? So dito, we would really mention about it. Okay? Now, what are our Philippine standards? These are PFRS and PAS. This is your experience point. Kindly spell it out. And IFRS and IAS. And in US, GAAP. Ma'am, why have you separated US? Because the standards is of two kinds at the international level. One that is being issued by International Accounting Standards Board, and one that's issued by the United States. During my time as a student, ito yung pinag-aralan namin. Okay. So, now, sino ang nag-i-issue nito? O sasabihin nyo din sa akin anong pangalan niya. Okay? Spell out. At sino ang nag-i-issue nito? O, di ba kaya natin ito pinag-uusapan? Si IASB. So, ang kapatid ni IASB sa Philippines ay ito, si PFRSC. Si IFRS, ang kapatid niya, si PFRS. Si IAS, ang equivalent niya sa Philippines ay PAS. Okay? Now, and sa US, FASB, Financial Accounting Standards Board. So, let's review, warp up the 5 W's. We talk about the business organization. We talk about the accounting functions. Tumama ba kayo sa what? Kanina? Sana. Diba? Di ngayon, na-remind tayo. No? At laging ang karelasyon natin ay depende kung anong course tayo. Diba? And when we talk about accounting period, why we talk about the sessions, and where we talk about standards. Okay? So, ano natin dyan? It's buds. Diba? Body na lang tayo dyan. And, as a reflection, no, to assess ourselves, what's the cup as our takeaway, as food for thought, we learn about the revenue and expense recognition principle, going concern, periodicity, entity, and accrual. Okay? And accrual is learned with why? Entity is learned with who? Going concern is learned with when? And revenue and expense principle is learned with what? What will binds them all together is your where, and these are your standards. Okay? Now, the next thing that we're going to discuss will be about tipo mo ba ang financial accounting reporting? Para hindi ka matipos, pag-usapan natin ang bawat isa. And these are tools, input, process, output, and storage. Okay, so always remember that in life, it's about the 90-10 rule. Life is about what made up of what happens to us. That's around 10%, and 90% will be how we react, no? So our life is decided by our reaction, not on what had happened to us. Okay? So always be safe, always be positive. Think of our happy pill. Good day.